Welcome everyone to a casted game of Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in the southwest corner of the map, playing in yellow, we've got Skyfox playing as the Japanese, and his opponent in the northeast playing in green, we've got Vanderdorf playing as the English. Welcome everyone to Gorge. That is the map for today, featuring, well, one of the civilizations from the Sultans of the Sand, and that would be the Japanese, and we've got the English, a known foe, a known adversary. In many eyes. I mean, we've seen the civilization time and time again. Obviously, one of the original civilizations for Age of Empires 4. And they're going to be going up against the Japanese today. In what is relatively an open map. So I'm kind of excited for this matchup. I haven't seen it all that often, but I feel like both civilizations can be very versatile. Japanese going for the berries early, and I like that move there for Skyfox for many reasons. Because the English can often obviously be quite aggressive with the Longbowman Rush opening, can be quite typical. Obviously, they've got other options for them as well. 2 town center opening. Even fast castle could be an option. But, you know, things going against the Japanese, they do pack a punch in the sort of 12-13 minute mark of the game. They can really mess up units. Obviously, depends on how they play as well. Whether they go for a second town center or maybe just sticking with 1 town center and pushing quite hard. We'll have to see. But one of the reasons why I love this move out to berries is because it's actually got the early baby wheelbarrow upgrades. You can see it's 2 out of 3 there because it's already got the Dark Age one. I believe it's called Tawara. It's kind of a halfway of a wheelbarrow and going to be getting the berry bushes a bit quicker. And it means that he gets his free food off the map quickly because, of course, he's going to be pushed off it if the longbowmen do approach. And especially if he does go for the Kura Storehouse, which is very commonly the landmark of choice for the Japanese, which is exactly what he does. And that's going to give him a very nice farming transition. And today, well, it's going to be almost like the battle of the farms, right? The English versus the Japanese. The English getting cheaper farms and increased gather speed from mills, when it's obviously influencing those farms. So it'll be interesting to see who wins out today. Going to be going up with the Council Hall. No real surprises there by Vanderdorf. We really don't see the Abbey of Memes, the Abbey of Dreams, the Abbey of Kings very often these days. And it's unfortunate. I mean, it's kind of the situation with the Japanese as well. We don't really see the Cocker Township very often, which is a big shame because we don't have the access to the Shinobi. And I do feel sometimes I wish that the Shinobi wasn't kind of stuck behind that landmark, but, you know, it is what it is, and it means you've got a hard decision to make in the early stages of the Japanese gameplay. It does seem like it's going to be a second town center play here by Vanderdorf. You can see it. The number of villages it has on stone, and also relying on straggler trees. We'll be getting one of the fastest second town centers you can get in Age of Empires 4. Plenty of villages on gold there for Skyfox. Already got his way up to the next stage, so maybe he's looking just to get some upgrades with this early on. Maybe would it be a fast castle? I mean, interesting build. It's pretty aggressive to do that in terms of, well, pretty greedy, I should say. Going to be getting the Tatara upgrade, the first melee attack, so that suggests maybe it's actually going to be feudal age pressure. And I guess the gold now is coming in for those all-important upgrades. Possibly looking to get Takazaiku as well once it gets to the feudal age, just to increase the gather speed of those berries even more. And the efficiency working on those villages improved. Well on his way though to get that second town set. Already got 222 odd stone and pretty much there on the wood count. The question is, where does he go with it? Does he place it quite defensively? I mean, this is a nice spot, right? He'll be protecting the gold and the deer camp. It makes sense to go here. He's sending some villages there already, 3 villages, so quite possibly there. Only 3 villages though. Okay, no, he's going to send those guys as well, and looks like he's going to be looking to protect that stone mine and that wood line and the deer camp. Wait, these villagers, they're going back to deposit. Oh, he didn't have enough wood there for a second. Wait, didn't he? No, he did. Just wanted to get... No, he didn't actually, because he wanted to get the a lumber camp at the same time. Okay, that makes sense. It's actually going on gold temporarily. Didn't quite have enough stone. Oh my god, this is a bit of a... What's going on? Vanderdorf, you're trying to come off too early. One way to do it is actually to keep your mouse cursor on the stone outcropping. Make sure you have at least at least 850 remaining in that stone mine. And you'll have enough. But there is a bit of a bug actually. I think it's a bit of a bug where you can get to 850 as a counter there and it just still is 1 short for some reason. Somehow you lose some stone. Wasn't there on the last patch, but it is on this one. Well, anyway, that second town center will be going up, protecting the gold and a nice spot for it. Now, Skyfox possibly is going for a fast castle. Look at the amount of food he's got. Amount of gold is collected as well. No military on the field. Now he's collecting a bit of stone with 2 villages. Probably looking to get the daimyo manor upgrade. Increasing the harvest rate from the farms by 25%. But amongst that also buffering up the town centre. Giving an extra villager. Giving an extra bannerman capacity. And villager as well in the arrow slit emplacement. Also increasing the HP of the town centre. Makes it very difficult to push. I feel like the Japanese in many ways do remind me of the English. And there's a clear centricity around the farms. And making them a big part of the economy. But also they're making them a very difficult civilization to actually kill. Like to totally take out the game. To finish the game off. It's very difficult with the Japanese when they do have the town centre upgraded. Going to be heading forward with a couple of horsemen. Just to poke and prod and see what he can get. And it's very difficult to do damage against the English though. Especially when they've got the network of castles bonus and the secondary arrows coming out. It's basically ×2 on the attack on these town centres, which is kind of bonkers, right? Low. Yeah, there we are. 8 ×2. Oh, horseman getting a bit too close for comfort. Does spot the town centre, but no villagers garrison inside. Now, the issue is that Vanderdorf will have a slightly better economy as time goes on with that second town centre. More villagers means better economy. In a rough way of speaking. Obviously, it depends on eco upgrades and things. But there's that daimyo manor coming for the town centre. Those farms are going to be very juicy. Very efficient. Very soon. And it's a huge farming transition coming out for Vanderdorf as well. Quite quickly as well, because often you kind of expect 8 farms, which he does actually have, to be fair. But he's going for double mill, expecting more to be placed down. There's the 9th one. And I'd be interested to see... It looks like he's going for a fast castle. This is a pretty greedy play by Vanderdorf, by the way. Because you go 2 town centres, that leaves you behind in terms of miniature numbers. Although, you know, Skyfox is going for a fast castle himself. But bear in mind that Vanderdorf, whilst he does get to the castle age a bit later, will have a bit of a stronger economy, but it's a bit greedy because he doesn't have any units. And it means that Skyfox could actually start to attack with castle age units, which would be very difficult to deal with. It's going to be going up with a floating gate landmark, which is definitely, I reckon, the best out of the 2 options that he has. Primarily because of the Yorishiro, the little relic kind of relic present, I would say, that Japanese get. In fact, I don't know about the history about Yorishiro and what actually it is, like in real life. Maybe something I need to read up on. If you know about it in the comment section below, do let me know. On YouTube. If you know on Twitch, let me know as well, because Yorishiro, I don't know much about it. And it's obviously a very significant part of the Japanese civilization for it to be featured so heavily in Age of Empires 4. But nonetheless, the Yorishiro is what it does actually, really. You kind of deposit in buildings, whether it be production buildings, in drop-off buildings, and it gives you really nice advantages. So if you can often drop it in the forge, I think that's commonly what people do, and that gives them basically almost a relic instantly. 75 gold per minute comes out of that. And the Yorishiro there is going to be deposited in the stable, interestingly enough. So it's going to be looking to get some increased production speed by 200%. And that's going to be boosted up. So you can see he's definitely going to be looking to be aggressive here. And this is actually a really nice build here by Skyfox. It's going to be possibly mounted samurai. He's already got the first one out. Guys, this is looking nice. As a build, going to be sending the Shinto priest out forward as well to pick up a relic or 2. Bear in mind, this build could have been faster if he didn't bother with the horsemen, but obviously he wanted to do some damage and just kind of fake some aggression. Vanderdorf immediately dropping a barracks, which is certainly the right option. He's going to need to protect... I'm a bit skeptical, and this is a lot of farms, guys. Holy moly, that's a lot of farms. That food income is going to be skyrocketing in that castle age. Do you see an bannerman going to be buffering up these cavalry? Does a lot of buffering up, by the way. Increases the attack, or the damage, I should say, by 15%. And even if it is killed, it does leave that banner, which leaves a lasting aura for a good 30 seconds. Could be diving into that town centre. Not too much value to be had doing that. And the good thing is that the samurai, the mounted samurai, does have a shield, by the way. So it actually deflects or negates the first attack that comes in completely. Whether it's melee or range, doesn't matter. Even depending on how much damage it is, doesn't really matter. Holy moly, Crackety here coming in with a raid. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I hope you had a good stream. I was in there for the most part, and then I thought, you know, I found some games to cast. I got to be getting good at casting, so I figured, why not fire up the stream on talking about firing up. But this game is firing up. Skyfox diving in here. Villagers trying to get that white tower. And this is rough for Vanderdorf. He's going to lose a lot of villagers here. Very greedy, and it's being made to pay. The bannerman buffering up this cavalry, giving the extra 15% attack damage. And this is doing a lot of work. These mounted samurai, holy smokes, leaving a whole slew of dead villagers, green villagers absolutely getting slaughtered. Oh, this is so rough. I mean, he doesn't have textiles, right? He can't do. Oh, he does. Even with textiles, he lost all those villagers. He's down 16 villagers. But if there's one thing we know about the English, they are not down and out. He's got 2 town centers, got a lot of defensive capability with the White Tower, but boy, oh boy, Skyfox definitely has stamped his authority in this game so far. And the raid came at the perfect time. You just witnessed you know, I have some words in my mind, but I don't know if it's going to be bad to say on Twitch. A slaughter, okay, a massacre. Those are tamer words that I think we can manage. But that was rough. Thank you so much, Crackety here. Appreciate it. Speaking of which, by the way, so we've been talking about build orders and things, and the Japanese. So Crackety is a bit of a Japanese enjoyer, although we've seen him play a lot of Byzantines at the moment. So if you're looking for a good Japanese build order, I would check his YouTube channel out, because he does have an Uma Bannerman rush. I'm sure he has others, but this is one that I know he was pretty much the pioneer of, I would say. I never saw anyone else do it, so I think it was the first. He gets a really nice early Uma Bannerman, bit of pressure. So it's a pretty cool build that I think I would recommend if you're playing Japanese, thinking about aggression, 1000 to play. Check out Crackety here's YouTube channel. He's definitely got that build there, worth checking out. Some tilting games, it happens, man. You're facing up against Louis MT, so, you know, they're always going to be challenging. But as they say a lot of the times, when you do lose, or even when you win, it's always a learning opportunity. Speaking about learning opportunities, I hope Van der Dorf, he learns from that issue that he just had, because he lost a lot of villagers, and he's not going to want to lose that number of villagers in this game again. If he does, you know, things are going to be a bit dicey. That is for sure. Yeesh. Right. Now, with all this farming transition, I gotta say, the reason why I love the Japanese, I have to say, I think I've mentioned a couple of other videos. Oh, wait, hold the phone. We're gonna watch this raid. This is a huge raid coming in with the mounted samurai. You know, the shield does so much for them. It gets them completely negating that first attack. Gives them so much time to kill villagers, and that's exactly what he's doing. Van der Dorf needs to do something about this. He's just losing villagers left, right, and center. He's down 20 villagers. He's losing so much. There's so much value coming out of the mounted samurai. Heavily armored units, and boy, oh boy, are they. He's going to ride out of there with one samurai to tell the tale of the escapades. He is going to tell the Japanese stories of the destruction they caused the English civilization. If he ever gets home. And he will. The spearman for the English trying to chase him hurriedly, but fortunately for him, his legs can't carry him faster than a horse. Now, Van der Dorf is going to hope that these villagers, their legs carrying them into gathering a lot of resources, because he needs to pump out military units. Now, interestingly enough, they're actually level in terms of military numbers. And economy-wise, though, Skyfox rather, is actually significantly ahead. 5 villagers, but factor in the fact that he's getting the Daimyo Palace. That's going to be boosting up those farms' harvest rate by 50%. I mean, when you think about 50%, it's absolutely bonkers. And it's going to get a free villager too. Definitely the battle of the farms. Today, the English versus Japanese. So, I mean, before we got rudely interrupted by the mounted samurai, I was on a thought process. But we're going to be interrupted again because those samurai are going to be diving in on that gold vein. The villagers do garrison inside. Only 7 slots in that town centre. But it is enough because only 6 needed. The spearmen are going to try and tank as much as they can, but it just feels like Skyfox doesn't care. He's going to ride in, get as much value as he possibly can, and cause a lot of distraction. Now, the thing for Skyfox is, whilst he might not get as many villagers this time round, what he is doing is keeping a lot of villagers idle, right? That's almost half the economy. In fact, it's more than half the economy for Van der Dorf is completely idle right now, and every second that happens, it's a big problem. Speaking of problems, I'm having a problem finishing that damn thought I had. So, yeah, I mean, so it's the Battle of the Farms, right? So the Japanese, the reason why I feel like the Japanese are a favorite civilization of mine, it does remind me a lot of the English in many ways. Like, they have this farming economy, everything very much orientated around that. And I feel like the Japanese are actually very strong in the late game, by the way. Because, I mean, they're maybe not the strongest civilization, but they've got this ability to just pump out units, especially with the incredibly strong economy with the farming. Like, their food income is going to skyrocket. Look at it as it is now. Already 1,500 food per minute. And this thing, by the way, it can be upgraded for a 3rd time to the Shogunate Castle, which would be increasing the harvest rate by 75%. And that is an absolute bonkers amount of food. So what tends to happen with the Japanese in the late game is they say, look, we've got 200 population. We're going to stay at 200 population forever, because what we're going to do is make a lot of production buildings and just keep zerging out units, complete pumping out units, just battering your heads against metal shields and the rest of it. You just get the units out just to push, and eventually they make their way through. We shall see if the English can stop that, though, because if there's one civilization that does a lot of defending and does it well, it's got to be the English. Looking to get a third town centre, Vanderdorf. Okay, I mean, look, I don't hate this because he did lose a lot of villagers, right? And he's already playing passively. I mean, what could you lose apart from more villagers? Which doesn't necessarily matter so much if you've got 3 town centres. It's a bit greedy, but he does have the White Tower, and he does have the capability to build the Berkshire Palace in the Imperial Age. The question is, he's got to get there, right? He's got to survive until that Imperial Age. It's a bit tricky if he doesn't. But on the back of this, we do see the Yorishiro coming in and even depositing a relic. He can't actually deposit the relics inside the Yorishiro, inside the floating gate landmark, rather. So he's going to need to pop... He's already got 3 already. He's going to need another Shinto shrine here. Now, with all that aggression that the Japanese had, he's had so much map control. He's actually been able to get 3 of the 5 relics on the map. There's still 1 more remaining. And that's the one that's actually in his base. So he's actually going to have 4 out of 5. Going to be getting that third melee damage upgrade as well. And that's something to bear in mind, by the way. The infantry attack and even the melee attack is just so strong for the Japanese. Going to get that extra +1 from the blacksmith, or we should say forge, really. The English monk had some faith about getting that sacred site, but I'm afraid that faith wasn't well placed in this situation. Going to be starting to wall up. I like this play here by Vanderdorf, right? Because he's playing very greedy. You're going to need to delay your opponent's attack as much as possible. He's going to need static defenses. He's going to need a bit more than palisade walls, but it's a start. Monk does die on the west side. Sacred site too. Now Vanderdorf, having lost 25 villagers, has actually caught up in that regard. 63 villagers to 59, and relatively even numbers. And he does have that static defense of the White Tower right in the front of his base. But this is a fearsome force, right? The mounted samurai looking incredibly strong. Milking in, or mixing, I should say. I don't know why I thought milking in, but anyway. We've got the Yumi Ashigaru. An incredibly strong unit for the Japanese in many ways. Like, not like pound for pound, but more the fact that they can pump them out very quickly and they're very cheap. Mounted samurai are going to ride underneath that White Tower. You know what? I would say the Japanese are incredibly fearless. Like, he's diving right underneath that White Tower. He doesn't care. He's going to ride right into the spearman. This crossbowman too. Who really cares? Because Yumi Ashigaru are going to do their best to pick them off as best they can. Now, don't forget the first hits that hit those samurai didn't actually count. Deflective armor doing their work, but he does have to back away for now. I'm not so sure about this push here by Skyfox. Did lose quite a few units. Going to be losing units on the retreat as well. Maybe getting a bit trigger happy there from the previous victories. Well, we shall see what goes on for here, because Vanderdorf for that third town centre, as time does go on, that economy is going to be coming online, and there's one thing you could say that it's really strong about the English economy, especially in the late game. If it does get to the Imperial Age, the enclosures technology, giving access to farms, getting gold as well as food, it's an incredibly population efficient way of playing. Now, we talked about how the Japanese have their ability to pump out units very, very well. The English have the same sort of mechanic, but not in terms of just sheer production, in terms of the cost of units being cheaper. Rather, the fact that their farms give them both food and gold, it allows them to really pump out man-at-arms, crossbows, knights, everything that's very costly in terms of food and gold in a very smooth manner, because the economy is so smooth in that, with that technology feeding into it. But we shall see if he's able to get to that point. Sacred site coming in on the east side for the Japanese. Another, I guess, similarity between the English and the Japanese, seeing as I'm drawing parallels today, is the passive gold generation. Speaking of gold, he hasn't deposited that relic yet, but the fact that you can get the Yorishiro inside the forges gives you 75 gold per forge that it's in. I mean, if you factor in, that's kind of almost feeling like the whole enclosures tech, right? If you get enough of them, the gold income can be very strong passively for the Japanese. Can you get all 3 sacred sites here, Skyfox? starting to prepare a ram push as well. And this is a nice approach for the Japanese, right? He's probably recognizing, well, I'm up against a turtly English player. What do? There is a map objective, mid-map objective in the sacred sites. It's a win condition. He's activating it. And he's going to be forcing Van der Dorf to do something about it. Which is, I mean, this is going to be coming down to slim margins, I think, this game. Because Van der Dorf has a timing, right? Give it, I mean, he doesn't really have that much time. He's got 9 minutes, 20 seconds to be exact. But within that time, he might actually be able to have his economy scale enough to be able to push through with a lot of military. Question is, will he be able to do it in time? And whether Skyfox will be able to defend in time to try and stop that from happening. Speaking of which, the ram leading the way and soaking up a lot of the crossbow fire. There's a lot of crossbow there, which actually will be doing good work here for Van der Dorf. Going to be riding in with the Mounted Samurai again underneath the White Tower. Not sure that's ideal. Does back away for now. Loses a couple of units for free. Looks like he's going to be pushing forward with the Yumi Ashigaru, trying to get as much value as possible. But behind this, he does have a strong economy banked up. He might be thinking about getting the Imperial Age sooner rather than later. We shall see. But he's going to be fighting underneath that White Tower with the Yumi Ashigaru and adding in a couple of Onnamusha, by the way. These units are really, really nice. I think it could be a nice counter to the man-at-arms that are slowly starting to appear for the English. Not in huge numbers, but they're coming. And the Onnamusha, they're essentially crossbows on horseback. Is pretty an amazing unit, actually. Does have a mangonel, which I'd love to see, because the English at the moment very heavily focused on infantry, as they so often are. And the Japanese, they're gearing up to try and stop that. Now, what's interesting is that he has now gotten the Shogunate Castle, and the reason why I think this upgrade is incredibly strong is because this really does allow the Japanese to get away with one town center play. Like, just bear that in mind. He is actually only one town center. He's up against a 3-town center English. He's killed 25 villages, but the reason why he's keeping up an economy slightly, well, pretty kind of well, is because of the 75% buffering of the farms. I've got to say, though, that food income for the English is looking a little bit nuts. It's like 2,500 food. The village account is really starting to kick in, right? 30 villages ahead, and Skyfox does have to be careful, right? Because he's kind of out ecoed pretty heavily. He can't afford to lose this army too easily, because sure, he's got a bit of banked up resources. He'll be able to replace it once or twice, but there's going to be coming a time where Van der Dorf, he'll be able to replace it more and a lot quicker. Japanese coming with the Mangan on the back line, trying to take out as much of the front lines as they can, but mostly man-at-arms does get a great shot on those crossbows. Now, despite fighting underneath the White Tower, he's trading pretty well here, the Japanese. Does lose the Mangonel, though, and does need to back away. Loses the Bannerman. And I think this is mostly distraction techniques, right? Because Skyfox just needs to hold out for a bit longer, although he's lost the Sacred Site on the west side. Holy smokes. Okay, well, he missed out on that, and I missed it too. For good reason. We weren't expecting that. There's no static defenses on the Sacred Sites. So that win condition has been removed, at least for now. And it's going to go up to the Imperial Age with a Tanegashima gunsmith. Now, despite the early losses of villages there for Van der Dorf, I gotta say, he is actually looking in a good spot. Because, I mean, Skyfox is finding it difficult to push in. He's not doing any critical damage to infrastructure. He's just poking and prodding, which, this about as much as he can do at this stage without siege. And Van der Dorf, he's got a lot of extra villages, and that's going to pump out into military very soon. Bear in mind that Skyfox is going to get to the Imperial Age. He had to pump in a lot of resources just to achieve that. But because of the landmark he's chosen, he will get some siege units for free. Got 5 tickets. We will need to see what he decides to do. Does he go for the Ozutsu? Quite possibly. He's got the option to. Oh, man-at-arms. Can we focus on the village? Wait, is he going to fight this with the villagers? I'm not so sure about the man-at-arms. Will take... to be fair, actually, the villagers are doing good work here. And in case talking about doing good work, he's going to be pushing down the middle now, Van der Dorf. Mostly with man-at-arms and crossbows. We can see that heavily food and gold-based army composition. Great mangonel shot there for the Japanese. A Springwall does come into the field there for the English. Going to be looking to push away that mangonel. But you can see Van der Dorf already gearing up to that food and gold-based military army. And that's going to be dangerous when the Imperial Age does come in, which is probably going to come in very soon. Most likely with the Berkshire Palace to defend that economy even bigger. That White Tower is not going to be alone anymore. Getting the outpost, they can just extend that network of castles bonus. Is it network of castles or is it citadels? Has he upgraded it? Just a network of castles for now. Well, it's Skyfox, for all the damage he did early, just the way the game is panning out, it's looking a bit tricky. Now, with the Japanese, I've seen a couple of players play it recently. Primarily Avely. I've actually cast a lot of Avely games playing as Japanese, and there is a window where, you know, when he did a lot of damage against those 25 villagers, killing them, that could have been an opportunity to add in a second town center himself. He didn't take it. He wanted to play one town center. We shall see if he can make it pay off, because he's got to do something. I feel like losing that win condition of the sacred sites a bit cheaply there. Kind of hurt him. The English will be going to the Imperial Asia now, and getting there will unlock the capabilities of the enclosures tech. Goes up with the Berkshire Palace. Going to be protecting those 2 gold veins as well, and the economy's going to be rocking and rolling. Pretty much population capacity here for the English. And now whilst Skyfox does have the positioning on the map control, is going to get a castle on the front lines. Like, the longer the game goes, you favour the English in this situation. Oh, the Mounted Samurai do have the elite upgrade, and they're going to be riding in, trying to be acting as a meat shield, but they're going to go down to the crossbows quite quickly. Man-at-arms there for the English. Now, that is the real meat shield. Going to be focusing on the Yumi Ashigaru. The keep will probably go up the castle there in the end, but at what cost? Because that's a lot of army going down. Is having to commit. This is not necessarily a fight that Skyfox would usually take, I don't think. But he can't retreat because he doesn't want to lose that positioning of the castle. Does garrison the villages inside, and this is looking dicey. This is a great fight for the English. He's got to back off for now, though, because that castle is packing a punch. You can see the rocket damage coming out there for the Japanese. The Japanese castles, they are built different, but he does have trebuchets, and that's going to be benefiting from the network of castles bonus as well for the English. This is looking rough for the Japanese, because a couple of trebuchets here will take that castle down pretty quickly. Trying to get another castle there. And that's a bit ballsy, right in front of that trebuchet. I'm not sure that's going to happen. He's going to try it anyway, but he might lose it. He might lose it in the blink of an eye. The reason why that trebuchet actually starts to focus on the castle, he would have taken it down in the first shot. Didn't do it in the end, but okay, he's really trying to commit. I don't think he has enough here. Does have a Zutsu though. That might snipe out the trebuchet. He needs to focus on it first. He does focus on it, takes it out. And has to back away. But losing that front line, and I don't think he has the military numbers here. Let's take a quick look on that. Yeah, 32 versus 57. Vanderdorf, he played greedy, but he's making it work, and the castle will not go up. His villagers had to back away. He's going to have to delete that castle, lest he loses that stone. Does still have a lot of stone in the bank, but the Azutsu, maybe he can try and hold that line if he can, but the numbers don't lie. And the English are starting to push back heavily. The rocket damage coming out for the castle, that'll keep the Japanese hopes alive. For now, trying to get that castle up. I'm not sure it works out here. Not with the White Tower focusing on the villagers. Does back away now, and Skyfox trying to get this keep up as best as he can. And we're probably going to be expecting to see some trebuchets. Now, the great thing for the English is that he can build trebuchets from this White Tower, right? He doesn't even need to get a siege workshop. I mean, he's actually got one ready to pop out, but he doesn't have the population space for it. So at this point, he might just dive this castle and just lose some army, right? Because he needs population space. This is looking a bit rough for Skyfox. Does have plenty of food coming in. About 4,000 food, 2,000 gold coming in for Vanderdorf. English farm transition with enclosures is looking very, very good. There is a spring wall there for Skyfox, but not really able to get close up to the trebuchet that's there. The range of the White Tower might just get it. An elite Mounted Samurai does ride in. Mostly Azutsu as the army here for the Japanese, but only 20 army to the name. Skyfox, he's struggling. Ah, damn it, man. I was about to say, I hope he did deposit that relic. I was going to check on it, and he hasn't deposited it again. Bit of an oversight. That castle is starting to dwindle in HP, and with 2 trebuchets on the field now, Vanderdorf looking in a good spot. Skyfox is going to need a miracle. Starting to rely a bit more on horsemen now. Struggling for gold, right? I tell you who's not struggling for gold. It's the English. Look how many farms it's got. I mean, I think we've got to take a moment just to count how many farms it's got. Because this is looking absolutely monstrous. 54 so far. 66? I mean, 67 farms, guys. Holy moly. Well, this is looking crazy. I mean, Vanderdorf, he's going to push that keep back. And this is looking in dire straits for Skyfox. Does have 2 mangonels. Could see some big mangonel shots here. We do get them. Crossbows are very weak. Doesn't actually get a single crossbow dead. But it does take a lot of HP. Man-at-arm's going to dive right on top of that. Springward as well there for the English. Does snipe out the mangonel. The mangonel survive. Well, doesn't survive. And he takes out the Springle too, and the siege gone down there for the Japanese. Does have the Azutsu trying to get the splash damage onto those infantry units, but again, I think the man-at-arms are just going to pounce on them very quickly. And trebuchets are going to start pushing those production buildings that are on the front lines of the Japanese back, and all of a sudden, the Japanese are being pushed back. Does have a bombard, but it feels like there's not much to protect it. Mostly siege units here for the Japanese, and the man-at-arms going to run riot here. The Japanese down to 99 population versus the 200 for Vanderdorf. Looks like Vanderdorf has done it. And it's going to keep pushing with the infantry units. And slowly but surely, the Japanese will be pushed back on Gorge. Trying to get some outposts here just to extend that network of castles, just to see the game through. Well, the Azutsu trying to micro their way as back as possible, but it is looking rough. And Vanderdorf pushing down the middle of the gorge, and we've never really needed to look at the flanks, to be fair. Not much is happening at this point. All that's probably going to need happening in this game is Skyfox to recognize that he's been out-ecoed. He's been out-armied. And slowly, he's going to be pushed off the map. Three trebuchets. It's going to take a miracle for Skyfox. Nah, that castle's not going to go up. Even if it does, it's going to go down very quickly. Now, is he cooking something? Like, is he going for some sort of crazy landmark snipe? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. There's no production buildings on the sides of the map where you kind of look for sneaky plays. We're going to try and hold on, but yeah, I mean, at this point, Vanderdorf just needs to push in. Look at that bank of resources. 6,000 food, 1,500 gold, and this is looking bad for Skyfox. The man-at-arms diving in, and there's not enough Onamusha. We need those Onamusha guys out there. Or ladies, I should say. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. He taps out. Skyfox, he knows his beat. Vanderdorf played it greedy, lost a lot of villagers early. Skyfox failed to capitalize. If you're watching on YouTube, do give the video a thumbs up. If you're watching on Twitch, let's keep going. Take care, and see you next time.